Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, but we'll see, huh? No, that's not going to work. We'll go there. We'll go there. All right, that's good enough. All right. Well, good morning. Good evening, good afternoon, my brothers and sisters over here at YouTube, Pastor Dow. We're just doing a quick broadcast right here for a second before we actually come on live tonight. We'll be on live tonight, same channel. Also over simulcasting on blogtalkradio.com/straightway, as well as I think we're also going to be on Facebook as well. A few other places. I realized that that we are actually in a cold front. As a matter of fact, I thought it was -2. It's more like -4 this morning where we're at. And being a -4, it was also the wind chill was like a -23 or something like that. I hope everybody is doing well while we go through these few days here of dealing with this cold front. Of course, if I'm coming on, it must be something I need to talk about. I'm back. I actually went on a long journey there for a while. Did a lot of driving. Had to purchase a vehicle for the Israelite community here. I bless you all, each and every last one of you. So on this particular way that I'm broadcasting right now, I'm doing it by my phone because the truth is I just don't know if we're going to continue to have power throughout this broadcast. But if it pops off, then I'll just see y'all tonight. Power has been popping ever since 3 o'clock this morning. So I'm actually taking a chance doing this broadcast. So y'all let me know if y'all can actually hear me and how I'm coming in. Hope everything is well in the land of living and everybody's staying warm. Now, I do know that the Israelites that actually follow the Straightway Truth Ministry, I know that everybody, as far as who follow my instructions and my rules and guidelines, I know that you all are doing extremely well right now. I know that you have plenty of wood. I know you have a wood stove. I know you have plenty of resources. Shoot, the weather could go like this for the next 3-4 months and we still would be fine, even if we didn't have any electricity. So, we're just good to go. And we thank the Father for being able to listen to instruction and follow wisdom. Now, got a few things here I'm going to go over just, briefly while we're here today. Thank you, Brother Derek Allen, for your offering there. Got a few things we're just going to actually go over here that we need to talk about. We need to talk about it because you all know how the game goes. I did a video yesterday, and hopefully when I'm able to get down to the dining hall, I speak well, Doug. Hopefully we've got a couple of people that would actually take up our offer for us to interview them. Now, the way that the interview would go about, if somebody would like to speak or like to answer, because a lot of people seem to have a lot to say about Straightway Ministry, so we want to give them an opportunity. We want to ask some serious questions, questions that they don't hardly ever deal with out there in mainstream Christianity or in the camp Israelites, the camp Hebrew Israelites, questions that they never deal with. All of them will come from the Bible, a scriptural, biblical perspective. And we want to be able to give somebody a chance to be able to answer. Because I'm sure, there's a lot of people pointing a lot of fingers over here at Pastor Dow, assuming and thinking that they know us, but they don't. So we want to give them an opportunity. So everybody always wants to interview Straightway. They always want to have a talk with Straightway. We're going to give you an opportunity. And of course, right now, I haven't heard anything. I've heard a couple of people who may have like 3 or 4 subscribers, and some are like maybe 1,000 subscribers that want me to interview them. But I'm actually talking about people who out there have been doing a lot of talking lately. There's this one little deacon. I think he says he's an Edomite. He's over there at Sakari. But he does a lot of videos about me. Every once in a while, he gets a wild hair up and he wants to do a video about me, thinking he knows me or whatever it is. And of course, just to deal with that false doctrine that there's these one West camps, and everybody believe that white man is Esau, or white man is an Edomite. If that was the case, then that means that if we follow that line of thinking, that means that the white man actually came from Isaac. And if he came from Isaac, that means that the white man is your brother. And if it's your brother, the Torah said you should not abhor Edomite because he's your brother. Now, we do know the judgment of Edom, but the last time that I checked geographically, that Edom is still in the same place that it's always been. Now, have there's been people, there's been descendants and scattered? Sure it is. And of course, I think that Job, you ever heard about Job in the book of Job? Or it's spelled Job, J-O-B, but it's really book of Job. I think Job was an Edomite as well. So, you know, there's a lot of backwards thinking that's going on nowadays, but nevertheless, hey, want to give you an opportunity to come on our platform and answer some questions. Then, of course, there's this guy named Dumb Christian or Smart Christian, excuse me, Smart Christian. He's got a lot of bumping gums and a lot of talking and just a lot of twisting, warping, and distorting and fabricating of everything. So he's got a lot to say. He can't even do a video without having Pastor Dowell's image. He must like the way I look or my name. Or either he's actually trying to look. You know, a lot of people, y'all got to check out the game. A lot of people use Pastor Dowell's name and image and stuff simply because they believe it's going to get them more attention and more subscribers. And that's the only reason why, because doctrinally, they just cannot stack up. Now, we want to give, smart Christian, which ain't too smart at all. But anyway, we want to give him an opportunity to come on and answer some questions. We'll get it set up. And then there's a guy named Vocab. He's been out here chasing after me for I can't tell you how long. And he wants to speak with me. Well, the way this all going to go down is that we want to interview you all, give y'all a chance to answer our questions that we have. And let's see how y'all fare with biblical questions. You know, questions that's coming strictly from the book. And you know, that would be nice for all the listening audience to hear. So that way they can really, truly hear the heart of y'all, what y'all really have to say. But other than that, it's cold. We're doing well. And like I said before, I'll keep on saying what the book says. You should have come out of her, my people, by now, and should have been separated from these cities. But I hope that you're staying warm. That's the only thing I can hope. I hope that you got plenty of food. I hope you're not trying to get out and do no driving. All this stuff, you know what I mean? If y'all could, I really would appreciate it that y'all come on tonight, and when I can able to see y'all in the chat room there, that we can have a good civil dialogue and discussion. Now, I think what people are upset more than anything about is that Christianity, it's obvious that when you read from Genesis to Malachi, you see no reference to no religion that has been called Christianity. Now, I want y'all to fact check me on this now, okay? So we have 5,000 years of Hebrew Israelite history, laws, statutes, commandments, rules, and guidelines. It's the history of the Israelite people, out of which, you know, when you come to think about this stuff, we know that Abraham was called a friend of the Most High Yah. And mind you, none of us today have these titles, and none of us are written about in Hebrews, the 11th chapter, the faith chapter. But yet these icons, these beautiful men made it into these books right here. And we're going to see them in the kingdom. But today we have people that's got a spirit on them that's trying to do their best to condemn the patriarchs. But, you know, Abraham, out of which the lineage through Isaac and Jacob, as we continue to go on up through the 12 tribes, you know, Jesus, Yahshua, come from Judah. What a lot of people don't ever take account of is when they try to do this cross-cultural analysis. You're looking at Abraham, the father of the faith, and out of him comes the polygynous family of Israel. I mean, the majority of the patriarchs that it actually people read about in the scriptures, Jesus came from that lineage, a polygynous lineage. And it's amazing how we can have 5,000 years of history. We never hear nothing about this religion called Christianity. And then I think when you get to what they call the quote unquote New Testament, of course, the new covenant is defined in Jeremiah 31 through 35. But Jeremiah 31 through 34. There's chapter 31, verse 31, and read it through 34. But the new covenant is defined right there. And when you look at New Testament history, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, you just keep on going right on down the line, all the way to the book of Revelation. You have something like somewhere between 60 and 90 years. Now, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which we all know, being a Hebrew book, that their name was not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We already know that. We get all that. But these were all Israelite men. And so they had somewhere between 60 and 90 years of impact upon history. And then all of a sudden, we see that Jesus came to save his people from their sins. And we continue to keep reading things like that, quotes like that are said over and over and over and over and over again. And I'll give you a quote right here, what Jesus said over in Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, it's what Jesus said to the woman, the Canaanite woman. He said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So I always ask the question, if he was sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He gave Israel the message. And then by the time you get to Acts, because the word Christians, plural, or the word Christian, singular, only appears 3 times in the entirety of over 5,000 years of written documents, written word of Yah. How in the world, because someone got accused of being a follower of Christ, who named it Christianity? Because if they were called a follower of Messiah, that's more than likely the concrete speech that they were using in the 1st century back then. And then by the time, secular Rome became political Rome, and they ended up becoming a Roman Catholic Church, all of a sudden, we got this religion, this new religion that's in play right now, which I might add has become the largest religion in the world. How did that happen? And how is it that we're speaking more about Christianity rather than the scriptures themselves? See, Christianity church fathers are people like John Wesley, John Calvin, Martin Luther, and they continue to keep going on with people like that. That's who they tout as their church fathers. But our church fathers is Abraham, the friend of Yah, Isaac, Jacob, Isaac, promise, Jacob, who had his name changed to Israel. He had 12 sons, out of which they were born in polygyny, every one of them. And never once do we ever see or ever hear of the Most High ever rebuking anyone for having more than one wife, or let's say more than one woman. Yet and still this new religion and all these people. See, and I know I realize what's going on, because we've been immersed in this culture for so long that mentally they have just toyed around and played around with our minds. Just listen to me extremely closely. And so when I tell you that Christianity hasn't had an impact on the world for like maybe 1,700 years, 1,800 years, how is it that they have replaced the people of the book, out of which we know that we all been scattered? How did that happen? And how is it that now, here we are, and the Christians been playing for their white Christmas, And here we are sitting up here in the dead season. We call it the dead season the straight way because if you notice, there's no leaves on the trees. There's no life going on out there. It's just cold, wet, muddy, dreary. You know, kind of like a Viking type of landscape and environment. Wet, muddy, cold, dreary. I mean, the whole 9 yards. It's like it's coming from the northern hemisphere weather that we're dealing with right now. But so we get all this going on, and then all of a sudden, we're raised and immersed in this culture. And by the way, Christianity is the religion of America. We're reared and raised in this culture, and we just assume that it's the right religion. But then after we become men and we stop speaking like children, we start checking things out for ourselves, we start reading things, we come to find out, man, we've been lied to. And so the truth is, Christianity and the religion of it is totally 100% indefensible. It can't even be defended from the Bible because there is no rules that teaches us how to keep their religion. For instance, where are the instructions written at in the whole of the Bible that tell us, give us the rules, the guidelines, the precepts, give us the scriptures, lay it out for us. Give us the laws concerning how we should celebrate Easter. Can you pick up your Bible and please somebody do a video or teaching or something and teach all of us how we should celebrate Easter? I mean, after all, you got the majority of the people who say they believe in Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. They say they believe in him, and yet he never celebrated Easter. None of the apostles, none of the disciples written about in the book ever celebrated Easter. None of the patriarchs ever celebrated Easter. But yet and still, where did it come from? How did it end up in this? How did it end up with these people saying that they're following the Israelite Messiah who comes from the tribe of Judah? Would he give us something, another form of worship other than what has already been established by the prophets? What he has already prescribed in the law? Where is it? Also, the Christians are getting ready. And mind you, you've got all different forms of Christians. You got homosexual Christians, you got lesbian Christians, you got transgender Christians, you got women, lesbian preacher Christians. And the Christians never say nothing. They don't even reprove and rebuke and correct each other for that behavior. Now, you know we got to be doing something right if we're catching it from all sides. It sounds like we're walking in the vein of our Messiah, Yeshua, because he called it from everywhere. He called it from the political side. He called it from the religious side. He called it from everywhere. And it sounds like people are doing the same thing today. But, you know, I think that I'm putting forth some very simple things here that should be answered by people who exercise self-autonomy. I mean, after all, the majority of the world today in many different cultures are going to be celebrating Christmas. It's just a few days from now. Few days. And of course, if you are a believer in the Messiah, if you are a believer in the scriptures, if you are a believer in the Holy Bible, it should be easy for us to go in there and find the instructions, the rules, the guidelines, the scriptures, the precepts, all the things that tell us what we should do in order to celebrate this particular holiday. Now, if Easter and Christmas is not in the whole of the Bible, I don't even see Christmas even written about in the Bible. But if it's not written in the Bible, then what are people doing? I'm going to tell you what's happening. Jesus said it best. He said, "In vain do you worship me for the teaching of the commandments of the doctrines of men. Full well you reject the commandments of Yah that you may keep your own traditions." And that's what's going on. And since, you know, Christianity has a plethora of gods because they come from the Caucasus Mountains, and they have all these, you know, different forms of gods, and it's all masking deception because when you're celebrating Christmas, you're really celebrating Odin. So if you want to really find out, you're going to have to go into the Scandinavian Viking, Wessex, Celt, Gaul, Saxon. You got to go in Druids. You got to go into the Greeks and the Romans in their religions in order to make sense of why people are doing what they're doing today. And in vanity and in vain, they're doing it by saying, lying, that they're doing it to the Messiah, Jesus, but they're really, truly not. That's called a gross misrepresentation and a gross distortion of Scripture. And then you got that day of the Sunday. Where, I mean, we can read in the Scriptures from the law and the prophets, and we can see what Jesus did in his footprint and the apostles over in the book of Acts. We can see what our people did in the Scriptures, right? But you know what's amazing? The Sabbath day has all types of instructions. It's actually written in the commandments in Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. You can read rules and guidelines of how to keep the Sabbath, what to do with the Sabbath. Then you have the lifestyles that you can peer into, the ancient Israelites, and see how they done it. But there's not one instruction on how to keep Sunday in the whole of the book. Nor does it say that he has changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. But you will get people that will argue you down. It's simple. If we're supposed to do it, just show us the precepts, show us the scriptures, give us the guidelines, like like when you go over in Deuteronomy and in Exodus and Leviticus, matter of fact, all the numbers, you go over all the 5 books, first 5 books of Torah. You can get every instruction that it would clearly tell you how to do unleavened bread. It will clearly tell you how to do Passover, how to do the Feast of First Fruits. It would tell you how to do the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. It would tell you how to do trumpets, Day of Atonement, and Tabernacles. We got the instructions there. And not only that, we have the example of what the Messiah did, and we should follow that. We should follow that 100%. But you got all this deadness is going on, and these Christians are celebrating all in vain. And that's why it's amazed me, because how do these people, if they can't get these simple truths, what makes them think that they're in any position whatsoever at all to even sit down and have an intelligent, informed dialogue with us? I mean, if you can't get the fact that, and I want y'all to listen to me, I've been asking them and nobody can show it to me. I've been asking for years, nobody been able to show it to me. But I can't find nobody out there to tell me or show me or point to me anywhere in the scriptures where anybody that had more than one wife was sinning. Now, they may say that they were sinning, and that's, of course, what they're doing is impugning the character of Yah, trying to make up their own laws, but you ain't going to find it. Search. Search it. You ain't going to find it. I remember over in Genesis, the first man that is mentioned over there, Lamech, I think his name is. Lamech, over I think it's Genesis chapter 4. And it mentions something about his two wives. And of course, what they do is they insert a lot of lies by saying, Lamech had 2 wives, and of course, that's why he was, he ended up killing a man. No, he said a man wounded him and he killed his man, but nowhere in there did the creator of the universe, Almighty Yahweh, ever condemn him from having that. Not only that, Abraham, the friend of Yah. Don't you think that if there was ever an opportunity for someone to be condemned for having more than one woman, when Sarah gave Hagar to Abraham, don't you think that the Most High Yah would interfere and said, now wait a minute, y'all, hold on. You need to go and repent, because I didn't tell you to go do that. So you need to repent, restore Sarah back as a maidservant. Restore Hagar back as Sarah's maidservant, and don't think about doing this no more. You will think you will see that, but not one rebuke, not one reproof, nothing. As a matter of fact, Hagar decided she was going to get up and kick the traces. And she did. She kicked the traces with Ishmael. And while she was running away, guess who met her in the way? The angel of the Lord. Yeah, the Most High did met her in the way. And you know what the angel of the Most High did? Told Hagar, go back and submit to your maids, go back and submit to your mistress. Isn't that amazing? If that was sin, why would the Most High Yah send her back into a sinful relationship? See, it's good, hard questions. Need to be answered, don't they? And of course, then we know the 12 patriarchs. Jacob, he had Leah, his first wife, Rachel, Zilpah, and Beulah. 12 sons. And a daughter came out of those union. All polygynous. See, Israel's built out of polygyny. What happened is that we got a lot of twisting, warping, and distorting. As a matter of fact, I also found something else out a little while ago here. I found out that this lifestyle has to do with worship. It has to do with who you are worshiping. You see, I'm not arrogant, and nor am I overly bold against the Most High Yah to where I can actually say that the patriarchs, they wasn't a damn thing. They were just weak men. They were sorry. They were sinful. I can't say that because every time I read in there, I read stuff like they did that which was right in Yah's eyes. They did that which was right all the days of their life. And then they come up with all these kind of crazy charges like, well, I heard one person say that everybody that was in polygyny had problems. And that is a lie from the pit of hell. You see, I stick with book. When people are disagreeing with me, it's not me they're really disagreeing with. They're disagreeing with the fact of the matter that for almost just about 2,000 years, the Goyim, the Gentiles, the Greeks, and the Romans have actually outlawed, and along with the English-speaking people of the English culture, have actually outlawed something that's been biblically permitted because it was a Hebraic culture. It wasn't a Viking, German, Wessex, Scandinavian, Gaul culture. It wasn't. And what's amazing to me is that I can't find the Most High Yah nowhere in that book rebuking anyone for that lifestyle. As a matter of fact, I got a book. Mother Carol, can you look on that shelf? And matter of fact, I'm going to go get it because it's going to take her forever. I'll be right back here. I'll be right back. I got a book I'm going to read to y'all. Now, let me give y'all the real underlying reason before I read this book right here. I'm going to give y'all the real underlying reasons why they come so hard against polygyny, why they come so hard against biblical marriage. It's because, number one, they don't want a man in this feminist society to be a king in his own castle or in his own household. And they don't want a man to build a legacy and a name for his children. He has one for himself, for his children. And they don't want the security that they know that will come from it. They don't want it. Neither do they want it politically, because after all, if you actually preach and teach the biblical lifestyle and form of marriage, within about 40 years, you could take over a whole township, and they don't want that. They don't want that. So they have to come up with fabricated lies and methods of condemnation to try to condemn, because you think about it. Think about what would PastorDowell be at today if my father had reared and raised me in these scriptures, and by the time I got married at 19 years old, and probably by now, would have had 10 wives, somewhere along in there, maybe 10 wives and 8 concubines, something like that. Could you imagine the type of powerhouse of an empire I would have been able to build? Right now, I probably could have had, what, 20 sons? 20 daughters? Do y'all see what type of power that yields? If you do it, how in the world do you think that when Jacob went into Egypt, they went in this little small few. They went in like what 70 something people in the Mizraim, and then they had produced so many righteous Israelites children that they had a standing army that caused the Egyptians to be afraid of them. Think about that for a second. Great multitude of people. And of course, when we do the math on that, we find out exactly how many firstborn sons that each Israelite family had too as well. Think about that for a second. You're talking about, an empire. And then especially with the way that the Most High Yah deals with me, with the spirit of truth in this mind right here. I mean, look what I'm doing right now. It's already something great in this generation simply because I say, thank you, Father. All praises to the Most High Yah. Thank you, Jesus, for your sacrifice. Thank you for writing my names down in the Lamb's Book of Life. Thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for truth. You think about that for a second. Man, with this mindset, if I could have started this in truth at 19 years old and I'm 56 now, wow. You talking about, I couldn't tell you how many companies we would have owned, how much land we would have owned, and then how much of an inheritance we can leave back to children's children. And our people would not have to depend on the system for nothing. That's what they want to keep you from. But you know what? It is amazing that in this culture, this American society right here, that all these Christians that have so much to say about the biblical Israelite family, as an example, I'm going to read you something out of the book right here. Look what they don't speak about. As an example, it is generally no longer frowned upon, especially here in America and in Christian culture, to hook up, to have a one-night stand, to be involved in casual sex, to practice homosexuality or lesbianism, for a man to have a mistress, for a man to have a woman, or a woman to have an extramarital affair, to be part of group sex, cyber sex, pornography, sexting, and any other number of sexual practices. Polyandry, polyamory. They say the Christians are mute on the alternative lifestyle. They come out with so much force and vigor against a biblical, lawful, a lifestyle that has laws written in the word for it. Yeah. But boy, when it comes upon all this lewdness and this debauchery, and you notice that none of these Christians, vocab don't have it, he don't say nothing about it. Smart Christian doesn't say anything. I guarantee they don't go to a church and condemn all that feminine spirits that's running around with them. Whoo! No, you don't ever hear nothing like that. No. Amazing though, isn't it? So, there's this guy by the name of Wesley Stavers. And, of course, this is an old document written from a long time ago. And, Eros made sacred. Thank you for your offering, brother. Check this out. This is what he said. And you know what he's doing? It's written by a white man. And this white man says this in this document right here in this book. I want everybody to listen real close. It's in the appendix of the book, and it says, polygamy and the survival of the white race. I'm going to read you what this white man says. He says, while white Americans currently enjoy their majority status in the United States, the colored races of the earth continue to outpace them in population growth. Within our borders, there are more whites than persons of color. Now, we all know that to be in America because we all know what the white man did when he came over here to America. They sacked this land, they raped, robbed, murdered, killed, pillaged, stole, sodomized. They did everything to make sure that they had the majority. But anyway, let's go on. Within our borders, there are more whites than persons of color. But in terms of world population, the white race is a minority. It is outnumbered by about 10 to 1. And with the undiminished stream of immigration from the South, the United States may be South Africanized within 10 years. The collapse of the Soviet Union as interesting spectacle. Here was a nation which for many years joined in the extermination of the white race. Now it voices a vague fear for that hostile Mongols and Muslims within its borders are becoming too much to handle. Gorbachev now talks of a common European homeland. I can tell you right now by mentioning Gorbachev, this thing was probably what we're reading right here was probably written in the 80s because Gorbachev was in office when Reagan was in office. Gorbachev now talks of a common European homeland. Radical realities are exposing the folly of wistful ideologies. Y'all listen to this. Roughly 2 billion people are Mongols. 1 billion are Muslims. And well over 1 billion are from the African and Indian races which inhabit the Americas, South Pacific, Africa, and the Asian subcontinent. Thank you, Monkey Bastard, for your generous offer, my brother. The white race, or biblically speaking, the Adamic race, which blushes red. Now he's off on that because again, if Adam started white, you cannot get color from white. If Adam started white, and if Eve was white, that's common sense says y'all didn't form him out of white dust. But if they started white, there will be no people of color on this earth. So Adam and Eve were, in fact, black men, colored men, melanated man and woman. That's what they were. And out of which you get the spectrums of colors here on this earth. All right. Or biblically, let me see, it constitutes barely over 500 million inhabitants. Falling birth rates and wars of fractional size during the 20th century are reasonable for this precarious situation. Not unlike the experience of the Byzantine Gnostic Christianity in the West has created an otherworldly ignorance of practical realities. Hand in hand with communist ideology, it has taught the doctrine of one race, one creed, one color, that has taught that matters of race of unimportant compared to more spiritual things. This delusion obscures the custodial role of white Semitic nations have received over the oracles of the Christian faith. The success of such a doctrine can only mean the extermination and breeding out of the white race, since it is genetically weaker to the dominant colored races and more forbearing and temperate. With the elimination of the priestly race, Christianity among the color races will degrade again into barbarianism. We have empirical evidence of this fact with the decolonization of Africa. Evangelical fervor has forgotten the Noahic covenant and the doctrine of election. Faith is not merely creedal, it is also racial. God has ordained earthly mediators of his covenant. We ignore that priestly order with great apparel. Now, why is it that when a white man gets up here talking about his white ethnic hierarchy and esteeming whiteness as the glory of man all over this earth, you don't never hear these people out here condemning him for speaking like this, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to say that whiteness is exalted up here. But anyway, let me read on. I discuss these matters at length in my book, and then he gives the book. The Bible does not allow miscegenation or race mixing. Then he gives Deuteronomy 7, verse 3. Except during wars of annihilation, Deuteronomy 21, with the successful infusion of white blood. A colored will become white after no more than 10 generations. You see how they talk? And most of you never hear this and understand this. See, when I talk a certain way, I talk a certain way because I know what my counterparts believe. Deuteronomy 23:2, and I'll see also Deuteronomy 20, verses 10 through 20. Miscegenation is a secondary problem. Low population growth caused by monogamy is the culprit. Uh-oh, you hear what this white man getting ready to say? One of your white authors out here is getting ready to talk to y'all out here now. He says that miscegenation is a secondary problem. Low population growth caused by monogamy is the culprit. It is monogamy which threatens the white race with extinction. Higher education has ruined countless millions of white women. They prefer careers to babies. They are insulted by the notion, look at this, of husbandry sharing. Because monogamy has reduced the number of marriageable men, many white girls find their only option is colored men. Now, y'all mean to tell this don't sound racist to y'all? And I'm reading it from a white author, a Christian white author. You know what he's basically saying, right? He's basically saying if we don't get with this biblical program and start getting with polygyny, we're going to go extinct. And we're not going to be in the superior power places throughout this earth, ruling this earth anymore. Let me read on. They are too poor or not pretty enough. You know what? I don't want to, I interject what I had to say, but let me read this again from this point right here without me interjecting anything I have to say, okay? Miscegenation is a secondary problem. Low population growth caused by monogamy is the culprit. It is monogamy which threatens the white race with extinction. Higher education has ruined countless millions of white women. They prefer careers to babies, and they are insulted by the notion of husband sharing. Because monogamy has reduced the number of marriageable men, many white girls find their only option is colored men. They are too poor or not pretty enough to catch a white husband. As for white men, because monogamy does not accommodate their sexual vitality, they turn to degraded sex. Colored women become appealing to them. Oh, so y'all hearing this, right? Y'all hearing this racism? Y'all hearing this ethnic hierarchy? See, I want to get these people like Vocab and all them to speak on stuff like this, coming from their white authors. And there's all kind of stuff out there, the way they write like this, okay? Look at this. Colored women become appealing to them. Polygamy must be restored or the white race will commit suicide. Ancient Europe was originally populated by polygamous whites. Polygamous Europe conquered a decadent and monogamous Roman Empire. And it was polygamous Europe which for centuries held off the Mongol hordes of the East. Only after it was weakened by doctrines of monogamy and celibacy did the Muslims and then the Mongols become a danger. During the 30 Years' War, the nation marched to extermination in Luther's Germany. The Germany which had exposed the Vatican and the Talmudists. Protestant Germany survived that Holocaust by polygamy. We do well to take note of history's lessons and learn to repeat the remedies of the past. Now, what y'all think about that? Huh? I just read what it said in the book right here. I just read what it said in the book. Now, me just speaking straight up truth, you would think that our melanated Israelite sisters or anybody that has been converted and as an Israelite from another nation, you think they would hear that and go, you know what? let me get these evil, wicked, demonic spirits off me, and let me see how much seed I can produce for a righteous Israelite man, especially after reading that cancerous article or that cancerous note right there. You would think that they will say, look at here. Because you know what? Unlike our modern day Christian counterparts who love condemning the righteous patriarchs, and mind you, they ain't never been declared righteous, and they're not even written in the faith chapter, who have the unmitigated gall to condemn Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, David, Gideon, Elkanah. I can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. One thing about our people back then, there's some righteous sisters when Sarah said, here, husband, take Hagar. That's some righteousness. That sure is. I tell you, you would think, but see, the only way our women can be transformed, the only way men can be transformed, is they got to come out of this. Listen, if you still going to church on Sunday, celebrating Christmas, Easter, and Sunday, and Halloween, and New Year's Day, traditional Christian holidays and stuff, how in the world can I expect for you to even embrace just the simple things of the word of Yah when you can't even embrace the truth? The truth is what sets free. You would think if an Israelitish woman heard this, man, all those demons would flee out of her mind. She would see what a beautiful, wonderful, responsible Israelite man that she has. She would have a good, a beautiful, cohesive working relationship with her sister wife. And they'll say, you know what? Let's get about our father's business, get fruitful, multiply, and let's build this empire for my husband's seed. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get it started right now. Because I just heard all kind of threats. I just read it. I heard all kind of racism. I heard about white supremacy, white superiority, white ethnic hierarchy. I read it for you. I'm not accusing. I just read you exactly what they said and what they think. And then people want to sit up there and have issue. You know, PastorDowell, I'm not like the rest of these people. There ain't no subject out there that's going to ever cause me to shirk back and not speak on, especially if it's truth. If it's truth and I can back it up with that book and that Bible, you better believe I'm going to thunder it, scream it, and shout it to the rooftop. And I ain't going to repent for that either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to keep disturbing the status quo that lies on Yah, lies on the prophets, lies on the scriptures, and just lies on our culture because they hate it. He hate it. And smart Christian, he ain't got to worry. He ain't never got to worry about polygyny because there's no women gonna want him anyway. I mean, that's all there is to it. Hey, brother, you just go ahead and be a monk or celibate or whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody, you just be content with what you got right now. But let me pour another point out here. A lot of times, men today cannot even acknowledge, Christians can't even acknowledge the truth of a man has a right to have more than one wife if he chooses to, because they are fearful of their wives and what they might say or what they might do. Now we found out that many of you don't have the intestinal fortitude, you don't have the heart or the will of the spirit to stand on truth because you're fearful, because you say you're the head of your house, but you're going to find out how much of a head you're not when you start standing on truth and agree with it. I didn't say that you had to participate. I didn't even say that you had to be polygynous. You can be monogamous. But boy, don't you dare go up in your assemblies or churches or in your little spheres and start bringing this truth out, speaking about this. Watch and see what happens. You're going to find out you ain't the man you thought you were. You got gag orders on you. And of course, you got that state marriage license. You know what that wife would do, don't she? Gonna go run to her head, her real head, the state. And then bye-bye house, bye-bye man, bye-bye. Say bye-bye to your children too, because they gone. These Gentile-minded women, they gonna kick the ever-loving traces. And of course, when the breath go out of their body, it's probably gonna be an eternal hell for them too. And most people don't like talking about that. I just did a message on hell and stuff too. But, you know, the fear, the intimidation, the coercion, I don't know. I have discussions with my sides all the time. And we talk about various things, but I think almost at the forefront of our mind is eternity. We keep a healthy fear of the Most High Yah, knowing that one day the breath is going to go out of this body, and then after that, the judgment. And I'm telling you, most of you, you've been manipulated. You have been controlled. There's an unseen force that dares you to stand on truth, and you can't do it. Again, there's nobody in this world that can produce one scripture that calls polygyny a sin, because if that's the case, now y'all calling the Most High, the creator of the universe, a sinner, because the Most High himself said that he had 2 wives. He sure did. Go read about Aholah and Aholibah. Go read about Israel and Judah. Go read about that. Go read about it in Jeremiah and Ezekiel. I'll at least give you that. See what I'm talking about? These people have got an evil, wicked, demonic spirit on them that they even are so arrogant that they believe that they're in a stead and seat that they can judge the Most High Yah in his program. Then they come up with these stupid sayings about, well, the original marriage in the beginning was only Adam and Eve. Well, damn, you got to start somewhere, don't you? But that ain't it. Just 2 chapters over from that, then we read about Lamech that had 2 wives. So if that was the only original plan, the only way that Yah would he have not made it clear? I mean, the Most High Yah don't have any trouble or problem communicating. That, one thing about truth, you don't have to sit up there and try to strain to get it. It just is what it is. But when you listen to these people talk, you got to do some serious mental gymnastics. You got to do some serious training. So I hope that all you people out there that are part of these camps and groups and fancy yourself to be something, because I know that most of you, you're definitely not qualified to debate. I can tell. I can just listen to you and tell. But, I'm trying to get a hold of the people as far as debate platform goes. All these people who are preachers who went to waste their money. One thing I know, most of you just wasted your money by going to a seminary school or cemetery school, because it didn't do you a lick of good. All you doing is preaching and teaching traditions and doctrines and commandments of men. You're not preaching a book. And you liars and deceivers. One thing about the book, it says, and all liars would have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Oh, yeah. But I tell you, I want to talk to some of these, I'm pretty much a big figure, and a lot of people help me do that right now, help me be that. I think I'm pretty small in my own right, but some people think differently. You can go in there and look at some of these debates I've done. We don't get behind pulpits and holler and scream and shout at each other. They're done professionally. And I'm sure that some of y'all scholars would like to do that, but if you just a guy on the internet and all you doing is you just got a little internet and you just teach on the internet and you believe you'll be an internet pastor or something like, don't waste my time. No, you ain't gonna waste my time. I'm not gonna do it. But either myself, Deacon Samuel, Elder Rufus, Michael Israel, somebody like that, we would love, or Elder Kabir, we would love for you to call in. This number behind me right here. Here it goes again. 615-688-3025. Give us your credentials. Let us know that you would love to be interviewed by the Straightway Truth, because we got questions. It's amazing, because that video has been up for a few days now. And last time that I checked, ain't nobody biting on it. Well, all these people got something to say. Ain't nobody biting on it. I'm going to tell y'all, people are not for the truth as they would appear to be. Truth always sets free, but the lie binds. Well, I am going to be on Blog Talk Radio tonight, hopefully. Now listen, if I'm not here, chances are the power got to popping again. Because this done popped off a lot today. Right now, do y'all know what the temperature is right now out there? I don't know what it is right. I know it's extremely cold here. It's 6 degrees right now. So we done rose from -4 to 6 degrees. We're doing pretty good right now. And I know one thing. We're sitting in the living room around that wood stove. And we're having a wonderful time. We truly are. So we're not going to have music practice. That's obvious. There's not going to, nobody's invited over for Blog Talk Radio tonight. And more likely, if we have power, I will end up doing a Sabbath teaching from here in the command center. Here in my command center, in this office right here, Sabbath morning. Elder Kabir says -2 in Wisconsin, -2 in Ohio. Man, we're a little bit warmer than y'all now, huh? But this cold front is here. And you know, it's times like these that I get a lot of Israelites sending me messages by Facebook or email or text messages, just thanking me for the vision. 12 degrees in North Louisiana. Ooh, -6 in Indiana, straightway Goshen. Wow. But 12 degrees in North Louisiana? Woo! Boy, y'all ain't used to stuff like that. And man, this cold front gonna continue on. Man, I tell you. But hey, just thank the Father that you heard the voice and now that you have the ears to hear. So we praise Jesus. We praise the Most High Yah for having the eyes to see and the ears to hear and the heart to believe. I just thought I'd come in here and drop some things and set some things straight, but I will let you know, as quick as people like run to the internet and stroking each other's ego, they sure don't want this smoke over here. They sure don't. And mind you, if we're interviewing someone, there's not too much smoke we can give. The only thing we can do is ask questions. That's structure of interview. We're not going to go off and start disagreeing on whatever you say is the answer. We ask questions, you give the answer, and then we move to the next one. We ask a question, you give an answer, we move on to the next one. That's how you do it. And if you don't know how to do a professional interview, go check out Jason's Whitlock channel, Fearless, when he interviewed myself, Rob Mathis, Brother Elder Kabir, Pastor Muir, and Brother TJ. You'll see how to do a professional interview. That man knows what he's doing. So I hope I said something to stimulate thought. I'll see y'all tonight, be the Father's will, and we are still functioning just well as far as the electrical grid goes. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time here on this channel. I want y'all to be encouraged, okay? See y'all tonight. The King is coming.